Hey, I mean, Divine, check this out. Check that out.
Ooh.
That's cool, right? I don't think you've seen this yet.
Fingerboard.
I know.
Is it the Lull?
Yes, it is.
Word. I thought, have you not got another 5 Lull as well?
So I did, and it was like active, and there was just some things about it that I was like, ooh, if I had it to do all over again. So I traded it in. You know?
So you gave Spencer it back?
Yeah,
and he gave you this.
it to Spencer. Yeah, and then we built this, and it's so cool. It kind of shows up almost like white on the screen, but it's like a transparent surf green.
Oh, is it surf green?
Yeah, and you can kind of see the grain through it, right? And
scratch plate.
And how about I got a word for you, dude. Have you ever heard of? Spencer texted me and said, "You will not believe the chatoyance of this fingerboard." And I said,
"Oh, the chatoyance." Oh, yeah.
I said, "Excuse
what is
me,
that?
What?"
Did he write that or say it?
He wrote it, and I was like, "It's CHA." I had to
straight to Google,
like a grade schooler. I was like, "Chatoy," like I had to sound it out.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Okay, so you know when you're on a trip like with your parents and you go to the gift shop and there's the rocks and there's fool's gold and there's you know, there's polished stones, right? And one of them is that tiger's eye, dude.
I freaking hate them. I hate them shots. God damn it.
They'll get you, man. They'll get you every time.
Lisa freaking loves them things. We go on holiday. She can smell them from the other side of town. I blink. I'm in water. She's showing me the tiger eye.
Yeah, dude. It's the tiger eye. Okay, so you know how when you do the thing with the tiger eye and it, you know, the light kind of reflects in a different... That is called chatoyance.
Chatoyance.
Yes, the chatoyancy of this is very high. So Spencer was like, man, if you...
Has it got a lot of chatoyance?
It does. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It's kind of hard to, you know, I mean, I'm trying to, you know, move it in the, like to see, but, ooh, man, the strings and the light kind of get in the way. If you're listening,
you're going to have to go check it out on YouTube. It's on the YouTube. Go check it out, people.
Yeah, but it's just a straight passive 5. Sounds like a jazz bass with a B string.
Really nice 5 B string. Is it a 35-inch scale?
Yes, 35-inch scale, and we did just 20 frets, so vintage, so it doesn't have the lip that goes off the end, like a lot of them do. And it's just, it's their hand-wound pickups. That Spencer was telling me they did like 20 iterations before they settled in on something that they really liked. Just trying to play like Scott Divine with that. Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. Just that punchiness, man.
Yeah. It sounds great. What was it about the active that you wasn't vibing with you then? Because the IMA4's active, right?
No.
This is how much I know. It's passive.
Bite your tongue, Divine. No way.
Oh, I know what it was. It's because you've done like, there was a special capacitor or something like that. I knew there was.
Yeah, we did different pots in it. Yeah, we did like 1K linear taper volume pots.
I bet your wife loves you just a little bit more for that.
Just a little less.
Ian, tell me about those linear tapered pots.
I'm like, are you serious? Do you want me to? She's like, no. I'm like, oh. Like I fall for it, you know? Like, really? You're interested? No. Oh. Let's a little more high end of the pickups through it. Yeah.
It is mega,
you know, this is
great.
just a straight up, I believe, 250K like standard jazz bass setup. But they just do such great work.
Are you gonna take off the added chromage? Is that? Am I just asking you a ridiculous question?
Hold on.
I'm swearing at you.
I requested for this to be drilled in.
Unremovable. It's like glued onto the front.
This is super glued on. Yeah. And, you know, I need to make a piece of content about this, but check this out. You guys, what this does is it gives you hand position presets. You play behind it. Okay? You play in front of it like Jamerson, right? Or you put your palm on it, and it's the perfect like platform for either thumb playing or slapping.
Ooh.
I'm slapping the B string. Because like your palm is just right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you've got a beautiful manly mane, we have not, obviously. You can also like check your do before you're going out on stage. Use it as a mirror. Exactly. Am I looking? How's my manly do looking?
It looks a little bit like a funhouse mirror, though. Yeah. It's like, I don't like how I look in that. It's not flattering.
Oh my word! Hey, before we go on, because I do. You're the man with many bases. You've got this new bass. But you've got another new bass as well.
I sure do.
That I've got a million questions about. But before we get onto that, 2 announcements. I know that you wanted to announce or make everybody aware that I might be out of the content game for a little bit. I don't think I'm going to be, but Ian thinks I might be. And sometimes the truth is somewhere between Ian and I. So if you didn't know, I'm having a shoulder operation, which is coming up. Is it like, when is it? September time, isn't it? Yeah, around September.
I think so,
like,
right?
Mid-September, I'm going for this operation. And they're chopping off the end of my clavicle and then reattaching my shoulder using synthetic straps. It's going to be a little bit of a thing. So anyway, I'm going in for that. And Ian was like, we were talking on Thursday, and he was like, dude, we've got to let everybody know, just you might be gone for a few weeks. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to be gone. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Ian was like, I don't know. So just to let everybody know that if I disappear off the YouTube channel for, 4 to 6 weeks, you know where I am.
Yes,
lying in bed,
recovering.
feeling sorry for myself. Yeah,
dude, you're supposed to be wearing a sling right now, and you're not.
I know. I'm useless, dude. But like, is there a Steve Vai play? Can you remember when Steve Vai he had an operation? Can you remember that?
Yeah,
he had an operation, and he posted more on YouTube. Just playing with one hand.
That's right.
Like we weren't all convinced enough that Steve Vai was like some kind of freaking freakish superhuman. He had this operation, so his right hand was out of use. And then he just started posting more on YouTube and just doing these immense performances using just his left hand. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend, go check it out. It's outrageous.
It's like you at some point you say, hold on. Is he maybe better with one arm than with two? That question runs through. You're like, how is this possible? What would it be like if he could use his other damn arm?
Can I tell you, like,
crazy.
Swear to God, dude, this is the sort of like, and I think it's easier to do this, right? It's when you see somebody doing something incredibly well, but for but somewhere in there, subconsciously, you're like, if I practiced a lot, if I really went to town, I reckon I could do that.
There we go.
I have this with pretty much everything, right? Even stuff like, I'm looking at an Olympic runner. I'm like, fine. You know what?
I could. Right? I'm pretty fast.
Exactly. All of that, right? But that experience when I saw Steve Vai doing that performance, it was, I would never be able to do ever.
Right.
It was just
I'm out.
It was an incredible representation to show the difference between a normal person and somebody of that level. It was like, honestly, I haven't seen anything like it. I still can't believe it's true. It's outrageous.
Right.
Yeah.
It is outrageous. Yeah. Well, that's going to be you. Now, we're expecting that from you. I want some of that one-armed bandit content from you, man. Just shredding the fingerboard.
It'd be more that vibe. And,
that was less impressive than Steve Vai.
It's a lot less impressive, yeah. And the second thing I wanted to mention as well is that we have just opened the Fretboard Accelerator for enrolment. So if you don't know what the Fretboard Accelerator is, it's like a online program where you get to study with me and get this beast down. The fretboard, this this board of pain, this board of misery and confusion. I don't know about you. I have got lots of stories of misery when it comes to the fretboard, and we might just share a few today.
Same.
But if you are finally sick of the board of misery, and you really want to learn it inside out, so you haven't got any areas that you freak out when you go near, definitely check out the Fretboard Accelerator. I think it's around 6 months long, the program, but you get lifetime access to it, and it really breaks it down into bite-sized chunks, and it's a really systematic approach that we use with that program. I only open it once a year, and it is open right now. Did you get that URL, Ian? Did Lydia give you a shout?
I got the URL. I'm like, where's the URL? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
I have it right here.
The URL.
Hold on. It is scottsfretboardcourse.com. One more time. That's scottsfretboardcourse.com.
Double T, guys. Double T.
Yeah,
because. And just to say as well, like the reason why I wanted to create that course is because of all of the freaking years of pain. And I'm not being hyperbolic there. Actually, like there was a lot of frustration about the fretboard of just not knowing what I was doing. And we were joking earlier that and it's common to do this. Like you end up doing the opposite thing that you should be doing. The opposite. So what I did, and we were laughing about it, is I started buying these books of scales. And I don't know why the one that jumps up, and maybe it's when I bought that one, I realized that maybe the answer wasn't in these books, right? But I can remember buying this exotic scales book. Like that was going to solve my fretboard woes. And it was like the Ethiopian flat 14 scale and the Mongolian, double sharp 2 or whatever. Yeah. And it had all of these scales that I've never used. And I can remember sitting with this freaking book. I am so sorry if you were the author of this book. I can't remember the name, but maybe if you read the book, maybe you're like, oh, that was me.
I swear to you that you're talking about the bass grimoire. Are you? Was it red? Was the book red?
It had a picture of a beautiful bass on the front. That's all I can remember. It was a really sexy looking bass.
Well,
what is
this
the bass
is not the same
grimoire?
book.
Is it grim? It sounds like grim.
It looks, it's red, and I swear it looks like a satanic Bible or something. Where it's
blood red.
Oh, yes. And it's all that stuff. It's just a book of scales. And of course, all the major and minor and the modes, right? And harmonic and melodic minor and the things that are potentially useful, and then a lot of stuff that's like the Hungarian minor. I remember that one in particular, like, ooh, the Hungarian minor. And I had all this anxiety around like, I need to know all these things. I need to know all these scales.
Isn't it incredible? Like it's incredible that these books have been created. With these scales. I wonder if the people that, and I guess it is interesting to know. It is interesting to know. But I feel like there should be a warning on the parts of the books that that should be side note. You're never ever going to use this scale, right? Just so you know that the next week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks that you are going to spend learning, God forbid, the modes of the Hungarian scale, the modes, not even the Hungarian scale, the 7 modes of the Hungarian minor.
Oh my God!
Just so you know, this is going to throw you down the deep, dark depths of the darkest rabbit hole you've ever down. You're not going to use any of this stuff. I just think there should be a little bit of warning.
That's not how this works, dude. Then they would sell no grimoires. They'd sell no books.
I know. Oh, I'm just going to try and strike this.
Look, we're here to tell you, though. We're here to tell you that stuff is not necessary. If it's interesting to you, right, then great. Maybe you write a super gnarly riff using the Hungarian minor and your metal band explodes. Awesome.
I'm That's so cool. Sorry, by the way. If anybody uses the Hungarian minor, I apologize. I really do. Yeah.
I don't remember. I used to know it, man. I was like, oh, the Hungarian minor differs from the melodic minor in this way. But now I don't remember. But yeah, man, I think that if you're into it, great. But it's not a prerequisite for understanding your fingerboard, understanding at least Western music, pop music, rock and roll, funk music, jazz, right? It could be useful. It was not useful to me.
No, me neither. And I just think that for me, scales in general, like that fretboard accelerator that I was just talking about, I don't talk about one scale the entire length of it. And it's like, as I was saying, it's like 6 months long. Don't mention
it's all
one
chord tones.
Scale. Yeah, it's chord tones. It's actually triads. Yes. It's actually triads. So there's only 4 types of triads. That's wild, isn't it? And everything on any instrument can be associated with one of these 4 triads. You can't play any line that isn't associated. It's really bizarre when you go down
with the triads.
Yeah, major with the triads, it's like major triad, minor triad.
Yep.
Augmented triad.
Oh, that would be sorry. Right, major with a sharp 5.
Are you doing C? Yeah. Oh,
I'm in G. Sorry.
Yeah.
And diminished.
And then the diminished. Right? Yeah. And that's it.
Right.
That's it. And in the program, all we do, and just, hey, check out the program if you want to. But if you don't check out the program, let me just show you this cool technique, right? Or this bit of methodology it'll change the way that you play the bass. Essentially, that's the sort of like the headline of it. And another headline would be: it is really important that you understand your fretboard, all of it. That you don't have these sort of like weird areas. Again, Ian and I were laughing earlier, right? Can remember when you're like, I was going to say when you first started out, but come on, let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
Like 5 years in, maybe more, where you had this. For me, at least, it was the 7th fret or the 6th or 7th fret to the 12th fret. Like, I just didn't even ever go in there. Every time I went in, I might have learned a few like licks there, but I didn't know anything that was going on or anything like that. And the way that I like to poke fun at this is like, imagine playing a keyboard, right, or a piano, right, and there's like a big section of it that you daren't play. Every time you go, you're like, that's kind of like just putting it out there. That's like it'll be over 50% of bass players do that exact thing, which is just to sort of like put it out there, is outrageous.
Yes.
So check it out. Scales, they're great. They definitely have their place. But when you're just not even just getting started, but when you're just really trying to learn the fretboard in a really, really thorough way, just focus on triads, which is, just to put it out there, it's kind of like the language of James Jamerson, or that's who I think about, because he created incredible bass lines out of using triads. But there's only 4 types, and I'll show you this cool exercise that you can use today. And again, if you've been in the Fretboard Accelerator, you'll know this already, but I split the bass up into 3 different areas, 3 different 5-fret blocks. That's the kind of starting point of this methodology, right? That there's fret 1 to 5.
Yeah.
There's 5 to 9.
No, and then, don't tell me. I want to guess. And then is it 8 to 12?
Yeah, that crosses over. There's a crossover.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 to 5, 5 to 9, 8 to 12.
8 to 12.
Okay, and then you need and you can print this off if you want to, get a print off of the circle of fifths. The circle of fifths, okay? So you want to note down that you've got these 3 sections of the fingerboards, right? 1 to 5, 5 to 9, 8 to 12. Then you get a print off of the circle of fifths, or you can memorize it. It's C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, and then it'll get you back to C, right?
And that's the circle of fifths, but going counter or anti-clockwise. Some people would call that the circle of fourths.
Exactly. Circle of fourths. So it's going backwards. Yeah, cheers, dude. And then what you do is you start playing your triads, and just start out with major triads to begin with, okay? So you start playing your triads around the circle. And the important thing is that, and you should do this with all 4 triad types, you should learn each triad with 3 different fingerings. Okay, so the fingerings are we'll start with the C major, right? So it's that 2nd finger position. If you're listening to this, it's going to be really helpful if you go check it out on YouTube, right? So that 2nd finger position, if you want to play it in 1st finger position, starting on your index finger, it's going to look like this. And then you've got little finger position, which is like this. So there's 3 different ways of playing the major triad. There's 3 different ways of playing the minor triad. And all of the others as well, right? So we've got these 3 patterns that we need to know. By the way, just as a side note, check this out. You can play, now you know these 3 triads shapes, you can play all over the fretboard. That was just C major all over the fretboard. It's cool, right? Just going up and down.
One more time, slower.
Go on then.
Yes. First finger, that's 4th.
4th, 2nd, 1st.
Yes.
4th there.
4th.
4th here as well. 2nd, 1st, 4th. Yeah, right up there. And it's just with those 3 patterns.
Yes.
No Mongolian minor, right? Just three patterns.
And playing, let me just say too, chord tones, right? Just briefly. Chord tones are all the notes that are contained in a given chord that you might see. C major, C minor. And they are almost like the quick way. They're the express train to the heart of the harmony. Sometimes, wouldn't you say, Scott, that scales that are associated with chords, mixolydian, like the modes, you'll hear about that. Yeah. Sometimes those notes get in the way, right?
They overcomplicate
of the harmony.
Things. Yeah,
they overcomplicate.
You kind of got like the notes. So you've got the triad, then you've got the 7th chord, which adds in 1 note. So you've got triads will be a chord with 3 notes. You've got the 7th chord, which is a chord with 4 notes, and then you've got the mode of that chord, which will have 7 notes. And the more things that you add in, the more kind of like skill you have to use the notes within that little collection of notes, right? You knowing which one to play when.
Where to put
and
your
check
fingers.
this out. And the most, I guess, sort of like an important thing to say would be, before you know how to use 3, why would you try and learn how to use 7? Because so many players can't even use 3, and we're like, here's a scale. Good luck.
Yeah, right.
So they don't. It's
so much that can be accomplished with the 3.
With the 3, yeah, exactly. And and then what you do. So going back to these fretboard zones that I call them in the program, the Fretboard Accelerator. Let's take zone 1, right? Frets 1 to 5. You would then run the circle of fifths and you would just play all of the major triads around the circle of fifths. But check this out, using the correct fingering for this particular zone. So you would go C major, which would be the 2nd finger shape. Then you would play F major, 1st finger shape.
1st finger.
Yeah.
Right.
And then E flat would be, B flat, sorry, would be also 1st finger. Yeah, also 1st finger. E flat would be 1st finger. We'll go back down there because we don't want to jump out of that fretboard zone. Then you've got
if you have a 5, right? If you have a 5, you could do 4th finger, right?
Absolutely, yeah, down there, yeah. Then that was the E flat. Then you've got A flat, which is 4th finger. Then you've got D flat, sorry, which is D flat will be here. G flat.
2nd.
Yeah, B would be 2nd. E, you could use an open string.
Which is like 1st finger, yeah.
1st finger, yeah. A, 4th finger. D, and then G, and then back to C. So, and you would do that in each of the fretboard zones, right? So you would do it here, and then you would do it here.
If you're listening, Scott's in the no man's land now area.
Right. Oh, yeah. Just like
between that 5th fret and 9th fret.
And then back to the C. And then you would do it here as well in frets 8 to 12. And onwards, right? But then, great. and that's just really the start of it. So it's a whole system, and by doing that, what you're doing is making sure that you, wherever you are on the neck, say you're sort of like sitting here on the neck, right, and the band's playing a C, right, down, the information is always underneath your fingers.
No matter where you are.
Yeah, no matter where you are. And I've actually got this, which is, I just want to shout out to Gary Willis because I'm holding up the Gary Willis Progressive Bassics VHS video. Look, you little youngsters, look at that bad boy. This is a VHS.
Dude, just hold on. Put that back in. Open it up next to the mic. I want some 80s kid VHS ASMR.
The noise.
Yeah. Incredible.
Hey, and you know this one as well. Oh.
Yes!
You got the little, you can open the little hatch. But yeah, like the first person I heard talking about, I guess, this kind of approach to like systematically learning the fretboard was Gary Willis. So he didn't create this system that I'm teaching you, but he was the first person that I really heard talking about and teaching systems to really understand the fretboard. And the key thing that I took from Gary is that wherever you are on the neck, the information that you need is under your hand. So whenever the next time you're playing in a band or you're playing with like you're playing along with a record or anything like that, just think about that. You don't have to slide all the way down to the bottom to play that C or go down here to play the F, right? It's all here underneath your fingers. And really all you need is a systematic approach to learning that stuff. It's actually there's no voodoo magic or anything like that. I would say that, I can remember when I was playing classical guitar, because that's what I did when I was a kid. I played classical guitar, and I was definitely in the lower, let's say the lower end of the class when it came to knowing the notes of the fretboard. I was at the bottom actually. Like right down the bottom. I can remember like being really embarrassed actually. I was like, I don't know any of the notes on the neck. And I just found it really hard to learn the notes of the neck. And it wasn't that there was any kind of like mystique to it or anything like that. It was just I needed a system that would work for me. And that's really where this was born out of. So again, if you do want to check it out, open once a year, Fretboard Accelerator. It is a badass program. And it is, what's the URL again?
Scott's Fretboard Course.com. Yeah. You spell it SCOTTS, fretboardcourse.com.
Dude, is it a fretboard or a fingerboard? When I'm writing, I always think, is it a fingerboard? Is it a fretboard? What do you say? Do you interchangeably use those phrases?
I do interchangeably use them, but just now I was thinking, if you're talking about the wood that it's composed of, maybe then you're thinking fingerboard.
Yeah.
Like, is it a maple fingerboard or a rosewood fingerboard? But if you're talking about maybe notes or frets, or you're talking about it in terms of the divisions, maybe you think fretboard.
Yeah, like you hold down a note on the fingerboard. You hold down a note on the fretboard. I think I just interchangeably
I do too. I interchangeably. I just tried to make sense of it, but no. I totally interchange it as well. Hey, can I tell you something that I absolutely screwed up just to this learning your fretboard goal. When I became
apart from the Mongolian minor.
Apart from the bass grimoire, I thought that scales were the thing, right? Because I think that there is something about sequentially moving that feels easier. It feels more linear. Like when you learn how to play a major scale, right? That feels sometimes easier than learning how to play these triads.
Yeah.
The skipping of that, and there's string crossing, and it's a little trickier, even though it's less notes. In the beginning, that seemed just to play like, a G major triad was way more daunting than to play the entire scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going to really dig into this scale thing. And I taught my students, and I'm so sorry if you were one of them out there. Oh, God. I just taught them all these different ways and fingerings to play scales, particularly the major and then the minor, and then we did modes. And I had this whole thing of like, there's 7 ways, 7 fingerings to play the major scale. And I do think some of it is good, but it was like a gate-kept thing where I was like, you haven't gotten through all those. We're not moving on. That is what you have to do first. Yeah. So I was that educator that was like, I was the physical embodiment of the bass grimoire, just keeping you from moving on in your lesson.
What comes after when they've learned them? Is it the Mongolian?
Well, after you learned them, then I would move to chord tones. So I was just doing it. I was just doing it wrong.
Yeah, you did it back
Yes.
to front.
I was like, let's learn all these ways. And then, you'll break them out into chord tones, pentatonics. And it was the wrong way.
Well,
and
dude,
I swear
everybody was
it.
teaching that stuff, though.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Well, it was the more popular way.
I think that's true.
It was more like you'd go to the back of Bass Player magazine and there'd be a bunch of... Yeah, and like people talking about Lydian and Mixolydian.
Yes.
Melodic minor. And I'm not, listen, I use scales a lot and I use the melodic minor till the cows come home. I love that stuff. But to my earlier point, it's like if you can't play the basic bit, and even I say basic, I don't mean the basic, like the fundamental, the foundation part of the sound is the chord. It's the chord tones. If you can't do that, then the scales are like, I just think they're a bit of a distraction, and maybe like you said, they're just they feel a little easier, but they're probably harder to use because you can't. Yeah, and what I was saying is, I hesitated. I think that a lot of people were teaching that stuff, Bass Player magazine, stuff like that. But also, there are some like legends that have been harping on about triads and chord tones.
Yes.
For decades and decades. Two jump to mind. There's probably more, but the two that jump to mind to me are Carol Kay, who has written books on it before and has talked about it many, many times. Carol Kay, and then Jeff Berlin. Those two.
Yes. Yep.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Anybody else jump to mind to you? That's Gary Willis, but Gary Willis for me he was like a little after those guys.
I was just in this Mel Bay book learning frickin' scales from the beginning. I wish that I would have had someone in my life. My first teacher was all scales. So that's what I came up thinking was the thing. And then chord tones were kind of like, that's probably easy. And if you learn the scale, all the chord tones, right? No. Like if you can play scales, you definitely don't have a grasp, even if you think you do, on how to play those shapes, those different shapes of chord tones that Scott just showed, and especially not augmented and diminished. Like, no way. So that's the stuff, if you think, it's easy, it's 3 notes. It is not easy, but it's so valuable. And then, did you ever feel this, Scott, when you learn the modes, or this was me anyway, I would try to then use them and stick them in places. And then it's like too many goddamn notes to use.
And all the notes just, I didn't understand. So the answer to like your question is but I just didn't understand anything to do with like how they worked over chords. Really, I didn't know that all the notes weren't equal. Right, the root third, 5 and 7 maybe had more weight than the second,
the 2, the 4,
the 4 or the 6. Right, I just didn't know that stuff, so I just kind of like randomly rambled up and down scales and didn't know that.
Yes.
Whereas, like if you think chord first and then almost layer the scale on top of that, you have the chord creates the foundation of the sound, the meaty bit that holds it all together, and then man, I'm so bad at like just messing around with metaphors and analogies.
I like
mixing
this.
Them
Keep
all.
going, man.
For me, stick with me. For me, that's the sort of like the meat of it. Actually, let's go with the bones. Let's go with the bones. The chord tones, the root, the fifth, the root, the third, fifth, and seventh. That's the bones, and then the other. The other notes of the chord or the other notes of the scale are like the connective tissue. They're not sort of like holding it all together. They almost don't exist without the bones, right? Did I do all right? Was that...
I like that. Yeah, the chord tones are the bones of the structure.
You're
they're
totally
the structure.
Right.
And then you
I might use that again.
I love it. And then you get to them with the tendon or the connective tissue, right? The other notes of the scale lead you to the bones, to the, I'm just.
Or the chord tones are like islands, and the extensions, the second, the fourth, the sixth, they're like bridges between the islands.
Okay, all right, we're just going.
Have you got another one we can throw in?
You're in a boat. You're transversing the sea off to your chord tone island.
Yeah. I was about to say, and the extensions are like the seals and the like the chord tones are the whales and the extensions are the seals and dolphins. I don't know, but anyway, you get it. Learn your chord tone, eat your vegetables. But it's a game changer. If you want to go and learn something, please check out the Fretboard Accelerator. It's a real game changer for you. And swiftly moving on, Ian has grabbed the new Excalibur, the axe. He might not have actually publicly announced this yet, but this is actually his new favorite bass, and he's going to actually sell all other basses except this bass.
Oh my God.
Ditching that IMA thing. It's out.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That freaking Antigua, that weird looking jazz bass. That looks like it's been sick on. It's out. That sunburst jazz bass looks like it's been chewed up by a dinosaur. That's out. This is the new bass.
Oh, this is the way forward.
Oh, my word.
Hey, if you're just listening, I am holding a 1988 XL2 Steinberger, a.k.a. the broom bass. You think it's going to be light, and sadly, it's really heavy.
No way. It's heavy.
It's heavy. I mean, it's heavier than it looks. It's probably 9 pounds, maybe.
Get out!
I'm not kidding. Yeah. Also, it's the bass. It's the bass that I sat down, I got it. I'm like, oh, they're so iconic. We're gonna talk about this thing, but I got it, and I sat down. I was playing it, and my wife came in, and she was like, "Come on, no." And I was like, what? Oh, it's a classic. And she's like, are you kidding me? She's like, that is the dorkiest looking. And I'm like, I know, but just come on. As it sits in bass history, it's very...
It might be the dorkiest fucking bass
It's so freaking dorky. Yeah. But I also kind of love it. So... Steinberger.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So for anybody listening, it's the one that looks like a cricket bat. But if you're just listening to it, it's the bass that looks like a cricket bat. There's no wings on it. It's got this rectangle or an oblong shaped body. It's got 2 humbuckers, 4 strings, and a weird little flippy out thing if you want to put it on your.
This.
And it's headless as well.
Yeah, look at this. How about we get a little Steinberger ASMR? Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, that's sort of aggressive sounding, but. Right, that's the leg lever. There's like a thing that comes out, so you can play it on your lap. So it has tuners at the bridge. Oh, but hold on. Wait, one other thing. You ready for this?
Oh, is that so you can put it on the strap?
Yes.
Wow.
The strap wing rotates out of the back, right? And there's this little nubby cubby where it locks in there,
You've got to love the design, haven't you? You've got to look like Ned Steinberger. What a dude. So, and Ned Steinberger, correct me if I'm wrong, also designed the Spectre NS2, right?
He sure did. Yes.
So like many of you will know what that bass looks like. If you don't, it's the one that Doug Wimbish plays. Yeah. Like a bunch of other people. Also, Warwick did their own version. It called the Warwick Streamer, Stuart Zender's bass. So the same dude designed that bass shape that designed this. So did this come after?
It did.
It did.
It did, because he designed that with Stuart in the late 70s. And then I believe the first L2 Steinberger bass came out in the early 80s. This one is from 88. They changed it to XL2, but it remained pretty much unchanged in its design. He used to bolt the top on. There were bolts in the originals, and then they just kind of tweaked the aesthetic. But they're very cool. They're made out of all composite, like a graphite material.
Oh, the body is as well.
The body, every single thing about it. There's no truss rod, right? So you get it, And how it's set up.
I hate that. I hate that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yes.
And
so,
is it set up okay or not?
Yeah, it really is. And I have kind of light strings on it. Let me tweak this real quick. Because when I got it, it had kind of heavy strings.
I tell you what, man, it sounds great. It sounds
cool,
great.
Right?
Yeah.
It really is cool. These two like EMG humbuckers.
A good, like it's not mid scoopy. It's kind of got a bit of mid punch to it.
It's got
a
cool mid range.
Yeah. Is that
and if you
both
hit it,
pickups on?
Yeah, that's both pickups. Like if you think.
Yeah.
It's that sort of vibe,
Yeah.
Or like if you put a bit of chorus on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just both pickups on full. Here's the neck pickup sounds like this. Bridge pickup. Very like 80s, right?
Yeah, honky,
But the most interesting thing about the electronics, and I don't know why, maybe EMG is still doing this, but this is so fascinating. It's just 3 knobs. Then there is this EQ knob. It's not like a passive tone control. It's not like a bass knob or a treble knob. It's a tilt. So imagine, you've got a fixed center that doesn't change. But if you push the knob up, it makes the bass treblier and reduces bottom. Right, so here it is in the middle. If I'm going to push that knob up.
Is that going to be your new signature sound?
All bridge pickup with that sound?
Yeah. Oh, that's it, yeah.
But then, if you do the opposite and you go the other way, it's insane.
Which is why it was used by a bunch of reggae players.
Yes. And in particular, I was talking about this with somebody. Family Man Barrett used a Steinberger a little bit, but really Robbie Shakespeare was known as the like reggae Steinberger guy. And I don't know who influenced who, or like if, probably Family Man had one and then Robbie, or the other way, or like Robbie had one and then Family Man was like, whoa, that's...
I think it was me and you talking about it. I think we were talking about it.
But somebody told me, because I was saying, oh yeah, Family Man, and somebody corrected me. Can't remember who it was. I wish I could give them credit. But they said, well, Family Man played one a little bit. He's mostly known for that jazz bass. But Robbie Shakespeare was really the guy that was, the big Steinberger guy. But it's a really interesting, that dark sound where you roll off the tilt EQ. It doesn't just get rid of high end.
It sounds awesome.
It's awesome. And that's both pickups. Here, here's neck pickup. It's like smooth. Also, the sustain, since it's made of graphite, like that A, I'm fretting an A. It sounds like an open string.
Yeah.
Like it's ringing forever. It's crazy.
Wild, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got a decent action on it. Is the action good?
Yeah, the action. I mean, I would characterize, you wouldn't like this action, Divine. This action is,
high.
It's a touch high for you, but I think the note comes out really lovely. Like all the high stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really interesting sounding bass.
Play that same thing that you just played, but play it on that dub setting.
Oh, okay. All right, so this.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's such an interesting sound.
Yeah. I mean, and there are folks that have played these. Scott and I are actually, wonder if you'd be interested in this, guys, but we're thinking about making like a headless video, where we take some of the, you have a headless, Scott, like you've got that Strandberg.
I've got the
bass. Kubicki. Yep, I have one of those
Simon
too.
King's got the Kubicki at the minute, but I've got the Kubicki, yeah.
Yeah. The Kubicki, the Strandberg, and I've got a Kubicki and the Steinberger. And just show you some
I'd love a headless one of these. That would be so cool. Come on, bass.
Do they make one?
No, I checked out already because I've got like an itch to get a headless. There's something about it. It's because
like
it's
a boutique headless thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so something that we haven't talked about quick with the headless thing, which I can't believe we just missed this, is that you tune them at the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, so since there's no headstock, this one actually does require double ball end strings. So, there's two ball ends, you put it in there, and then there's this little, you back the tuner up.
That's a little bit of friction for me. I think it's a little reason why I haven't sort of like obviously I've got the Kubicki, but I'll tell you what I haven't done. I haven't restrung it.
The Kubicki is backwards though. Do you know this? The Kubicki's backwards. So it's not double ball. You put the ball end at the headstock.
At the headstock, and then
you wind the
pulley system thing.
You wind the rest over the wheel. They are a little tricky.
I'm such a baby when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, I used to be a freaking guitar tech. Like, what is going on? It's like, honestly, but I am. I look at it, I'm like, that looks like an hour gone.
Look, I will say this is actually the easiest system that I've ever used with a headless, because you open the tuner, this little claw comes out, you put the ball end in it, and you go, and you tune it up, and it's done. And then the strings don't stretch because there's no windings over the post.
Yeah.
It stays in tune. I picked this thing up, hadn't played it in, I don't know, a week or so. Humidity, everything fluctuating. It was totally in tune.
My Kubicki is the same. It's the same.
Yeah.
It just doesn't move.
It's cool.
Yeah. The tunings are just so solid on those things.
I mean, you can travel with it, right? It's like, well, you can put it in the, the overhead. I have long thought that these just looked like headless instruments to me have looked silly. But now I think it's kind of charming. It sort of reminds me of, there's a great video of Sting playing one in '82 with
I was
going to
say there's some cool players that have played them, right?
So cool. The Arith from Protest the Hero in kind of like the metal prog world. The guy that plays in Pliny is playing a headless. Who's this guy? Simon? Is it Simon Groves?
Simon Grove. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He plays a headless. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of folks doing it. And, the Kubicki, man, goes back to Stu Hamm, Vale Johnson, there
was a wild
John Taylor,
Kubicki
Duran. Is there?
Yeah. Let me show you. I don't know how this is going to work.
Just devolving into just us looking at reverb listings. Just like
exactly that.
The pod becomes that. As you're pulling that up, let me just say this too, that I think the headless idea, it's like a good idea. It's ergonomic. It feels like the balance is really nice on a headless instrument, or you don't get that headstock dive. Yeah. It's a really good idea. Like, Ned Steinberger was always into this ergonomic thing around like balance and ergonomics. That's why he did that curve with the NS.
Yeah.
It was going to like conform to your body. But also, I will say it's frickin' dorky. And so then you just need to decide, is that the vibe, right? You pull out a headless bass, it says something about you immediately. But whatever, you pull out a Fender, it says something about you immediately. So I used to be like, I don't know if I'd ever play that kind of thing on a blah, 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 and had these convictions about it. But now, I don't know, man. I'm taking this to jazz brunch.
I think they're cool, dude.
What is that?
It is
that's not a Kubicki.
It says here.
Is it like early?
1994, Phil Kubicki and Chip Wilson, headless, fretless bass.
Crazy.
Who's Chip Wilson? I don't know. Anyway.
Look at you just getting all into the headless. There's so much cool headless stuff out there.
Yeah.
Swan. Fodera is making headless now.
Them Swan basses are nice, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Played one of those at NAMM a couple years ago. Think? It's incredible. It's a rocket. It's a race car. They're nimble and sweet. And, they had them set like slammed low. And I mean, they really felt great. They're beautiful and they're cool.
Is it like a Fodera type thing?
Yeah. I didn't think it sounded, Foderas have that mid-range thing. They really kind of have like whenever I play or see a Fodera, there's like a honk to them, which is cool. It's just a flavor. These didn't have that so much, it seemed like. But I'm just, I'm kind of talking out of my ass at this point. I don't totally remember. You know who else is making really cool headless right now is MTD.
Yeah, Daniel Tobias. He actually did the design for their headless, I think. Yeah, because there's Mike, obviously, who's the dad, isn't it? And then shout out to Daniel, the son. How cool is that?
Very.
Pass it down.
Very cool. Yes.
My word.
At some point, Divine, I need to show you.
I'm going to pass SBL to Story.
Yeah, that's right.
Stories-based lessons. Hey, people can still call it SBL.
Yeah, you get to keep the acronym. It's amazing.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Oh, that maybe I just acquired MTD number 88.
You've bought another bass. What? What? MTD 88 is in like 88, one of the 5 strings? The 88th one they ever built?
Correct.
Has it got a Wenge neck?
Yes.
Oh, talk to it. I'm telling you, Emily doesn't give 2 craps about this, dude. Just give it to me. So you were surfing the web, were you? Surfing the web, late night web surfing. Is that what happened? What happened?
Oh, it popped up and I went, like when you see an instrument that it's been on a list, like I have always wanted like a 90s MTD.
Yeah.
And I mean, ever since Hubert Eves, right?
Yeah,
Ever since
exactly.
Erykah Badu Live.
Yeah.
And one showed up and I went, I think I actually made that sound. I
went. So it's got the Wenge neck. What's the body?
The body, I believe, is maple. It's a maple top. And I don't know the back, actually. I could figure it out. I'm looking at it right now.
Black limber?
Bit of black limber? I think it's a little, I think it's more pedestrian than that. It might be alder or ash, or I don't think it's something fancy. But boy, oh boy, it's got that first edition of those Bartolinis.
When's it coming?
Circuit, and I'm looking at it.
What? You've got it. It's at your house.
Oh, I am looking at it right now. It's in the rack. It's right there.
Bass. Get the bass.
Do you want to see it? All right.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I thought you meant you were looking at it on the screen.
Oh no, brother. I am looking at it in my home. Oh God. Hold on.
Where did you get it from? Was it a reverb purchase? Was it a talk bass purchase? Yeah. Have you thought about deleting the reverb app off your phone? I
have. No way, never. This was Talkbase. I found this on Talkbase. Yeah.
Shout out to Talkbase. Dude, well done for you for like still you're still there on Talkbase. I'm like, I wonder what it's
even after the.
Yeah, well, after the sort of like, just decades and decades that that's been.
Oh yeah. They just did a complete like a revamp of the site too, and it was pretty buggy and people were upset. I actually think it's pretty cool though. Are you ready?
I'm ready and I'm excited. Oh, 88.
Number 88.
It's got it's an amber color. It's got a flamed maple, actually a quilted maple top.
It's quilted.
It's got the Wenge top. It's got the Bartolini.
Yeah, I think they called this Orange Burst.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
And now I just wanted to say, yes, it is a Wenge fingerboard and headstock. But the neck is actually maple.
I'll let you off. It's still good. Yeah, it's got the Wenge back play.
Check out the covers too. Yeah, Wenge.
Oh yeah,
bits here.
It's like a older back, I think. Older. Anyway, what does it sound like?
Sounds freaking awesome.
Plug it in.
The B string is so cool. Let's see.
Yeah, what was the? I've played barely any MTDs in my life.
It's so right now I think I have it set up pretty bright. Let's see, hold on here. Oh, there we go. Right?
That's the sound. Oh my word.
The B string it's crazy. Right?
Yeah.
And that's with a lot of treble boost. But
so is there
is
there a jazz bass flavor to it? Like, what's the flavor?
What's the flavor? So this is like both pickups on full with just a touch of EQ kind of in both directions. Yeah, I would say like both pickups. But it's got a top to it, a zing.
It's got the active, yeah. It's like modern active, isn't it? Big,
it really
modern
is.
Active, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like
not scooped, not too scooped, because a lot of the MTDs have a very scooped flavor to them, but that doesn't.
You really can scoop it. Like here, I can really give you like the Goucher. This.
Got it, yeah. Yeah.
But you don't have to go that hardcore with it. Like if you just put mids in the middle, it's not too scoopy.
It sounds great. And what does it feel like? They've got asymmetric necks, right? So the neck slightly, The
neck kind of tapers toward the treble side slightly. Yeah. It's a little thicker, but I would say that it's a thin neck overall, front to back. I know you like
baby.
that.
Oh, baby.
It's really comfortable. 0 fret, 35-inch scale. It's killer. It's
what number you're on, dude? What number?
Like how many bass guitars?
Yeah. When's the store opening?
It's a lot.
Is it a lot?
It's a lot.
It was like 40-ish last time we checked, wasn't it? Is it over 50?
I don't think it is. But I'm kind of nervous to count.
Oh my word, you should absolutely count them.
I know.
It's so cool.
But you know what, Divine? I'm doing this for the people, right?
Yeah,
I'm doing this for the people.
Exactly.
Because we're going to make content. And I'm so excited.
Double art. It's not even, hey, just so everybody knows, Ian isn't actually like buying these. When you buy a bass, you actually like just transfer money. Like
That's
the money,
right.
It's not like buying pizzas where the pizza disappears. Like you buying a bass,
true.
The money just sits in the bass, and then if you want the money, you just sell the bass.
Yeah,
so
you can do.
That's what, that's what I told.
Also, as my friend Dan Folds would say, it's double art because it's gorgeous. It's a thing you love. It's the design. It's you just dream about it. You love it, and you can use it to make music. So it's a piece of art that you can make art with, I think. I mean, of all the investments in my life, this probably the ones that bring me the most joy.
That looks incredibly clean, by the way. Is it really clean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a couple little, it's been played a little, but it's really clean. It's freaking incredible.
Outrageous.
Yeah. I know,
dude. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Yeah. Let's end on on this beautiful note, this MTD note. I really want the MTD. I really want an MTD. I might have to go look. Oh, honestly, it's that album. And let's mention the album one more time. If people haven't heard it, shout out to Hubert Eves, who's one of the greatest to ever have done it or ever doing it. Bass player. He's based out of New York, but he played on an incredible, culture changing album for electric bass players. It's the Erykah Badu live album, recorded in
I think 96, 97.
Okay, and it's the one they do. It's the intro. So what? It's the So What riff. It's got rim shot on it. It's incredible, and it's incredible. A few different reasons. Number one is that there's just the level of musicianship in terms of the bass and the drums, which is Hubert Eves and Who's on kit again? It's
Poogie Bell.
Poogie Bell, yeah. It's just outrageous, but also just the amount of space. It's like this perfect bass album. There's not one moment on the album where you just think that he's just kind of like vamping. It's like every line seems to be just like beautifully composed and intentional. Yes. And it's like a true, if somebody came to me and they were like, oh, I'm just getting into electric bass and I'm really wanting to sort of like explore the music. And I've been hearing about this thing called a rhythm section. What's a rhythm section? I would probably say go listen to that album. That's a rhythm section.
That's high praise, and I agree. It's incredible. Yeah. And Scott and I it's
a trio, isn't it?
Yes, it's just
bass,
it's keys,
drums, and keys.
Yep, and BGVs, right, or BVs as you would say. Yeah. But there's no guitar player.
Yeah,
how cool! And Scott and I actually did an interview with Hubert, but it's so funny because I wish if I could do it all over again, maybe we should have Hubert. I think I would ask better questions because I sort of I was just like Chris Farley, like, hey, remember when you played on that Erykah Badu live record? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, that was awesome. I swear to God, that's what I'm liking it. I'm just like, oh man, that riff you played, you know that riff? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, that was awesome. And he's like, oh, thanks. I feel like he said, oh, thanks, you guys. Geez, thanks, like so much, because we were just like, man, you're so awesome.
Man, he's awesome. He is awesome. He is awesome. And he still emails me every now and again. He'll every sort of like maybe like 3 to 6 months, he'll drop me an email, share something he's doing. It's killer. He always says thanks for the interview and stuff like that.
Oh, it's so cool.
He's such a dude. Yeah. Anyway, dude, let's call it. Dudes, take it easy. We'll see you in the next one. And keep bassing.
Ooh, keep bassing. There we go. All right. Take care, everybody.